What Ukraine would expect to get during the Vilnius summit of NATO in July? The General Secretary of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, made an announcement.
We are working on a multi-year package of support with robust funding. This will ensure Ukraine's deterrence and defense for the longer term, help rebuild its security and defense sector, and transition Ukraine from Soviet-era doctrine, equipment and training to full interoperability with NATO. We also discussed upgrading the existing NATO-Ukraine Commission to a new NATO-Ukraine Council. This would be a significant step to establish a joint consultative forum with Ukraine, sitting at the table as equals.
Experts suggest that discussions about the agenda for Ukraine are still going on, and it is unlikely that we will see results before the summit.
I'm sure that there is a vigorous discussion, both in Brussels and also in NATO member capitals, so in Washington, and in Berlin, and in London, and in Paris, right? And in Warsaw, and in Vilnius. I'm sure that there is an active conversation, discussion, even argument about exactly that question. And a final decision has not yet been made, I don't think. And it's possible that a final agreement by all 31, or maybe even 32 if Sweden joins by then, all the members of NATO, if they all agree, that agreement might not happen until just before the meeting in Vilnius.
Nevertheless, there are some things that are definitely on the table.
I think there's two concrete things here where we'll be looking at. First of all, it's a more easy transfer of weapons and technology to Ukraine. Right now, over the past year, we've seen, there was always a lot of debate about red lines. You cannot give tanks, then you cannot give jet fighters. And we see that these red lines have been fallen one after the other. I think NATO is now coming to the realization that we basically need to transfer weapons and technology to the level that you need. Some call it, for instance, an Israel model, where basically the West is providing the weaponry that is necessary to defend yourself. So definitely more capabilities, more weapons, and an easier transfer. That's number one.
Ukraine has all possibility to succeed during this summit.
But two is also a deepening of political relationships. Now, how to do that, of course, this will go through a so-called NATO-Ukraine Council. Now, Ukraine and NATO already have a political platform. It's called the NUC, the NATO-Ukraine Committee. But this is a pretty, I would say, basic level of conversation. So the Council will basically upgrade that. There's one basic advantage to the Council, is that from now on, once this Council is established, Ukraine can also call the alliance to come together. Once Ukraine perceives the emergency, once Ukraine perceives the need to do so. So basically, you could almost call it some sort of Article 4 that is being given to Ukraine. Not Article 5, the Article 4.
The NATO-Ukraine Council is not about membership for Ukraine, but it gives Ukraine plenty of opportunities to promote its agenda and be more politically influential.
I don't think you should perceive security guarantees in a way that suddenly Western armed forces will send boots on the ground in Ukraine. So I don't think that Ukraine should expect Western soldiers to be in Ukraine. But in terms of technology and weapons, yes, I think you should just expect to have more heavy weaponry. Take, for instance, the issue of the F-16s. I think it's only a matter of time before you will get them.
Besides, the guarantee of military support could be provided.
Well, NATO is building a fancy waiting room for you. You're not getting a membership action plan. A membership action plan is usually what a country gets on its way to membership. It's what comes before the membership. So you're not getting membership, and you're also not getting the membership action plan. But you're getting a very fancy golden waiting room, and the NATO-Ukraine Council exactly that.
The stakes are extremely high, and this is in interest of NATO to continue supporting Ukraine.
We should provide the weapons as we're doing now. Exactly as we're doing now. We should do that on a reliable, consistent, long-term basis, provide Ukraine with the weapons to deter another attack from Russia and defend itself from another attack. So that's again, that's what we have with Israel. We're providing right now Ukraine with more money for weapons than we provide the Israelis. There are things that can be done in the meantime, but the goal needs to be Ukraine in NATO as soon as possible. I think Ukraine should get those long-range missiles, the ATACMS missiles, the long-range artillery missiles. Ukraine should get those now, in any case.
Vitaliy Syzov from Brussels for UATV.